That a snapshot, the latest from our correspondents on the ground. The international charity Save the Children says nearly 2 million children are feared to be affected by Saturday's deadly earthquake. Let's speak now to Devendra Tak from Save the Children, who's in Kathmandu for us. That is a staggering figure. Just how bad is it in terms of what you have seen, particularly affecting children?
The graphic imagery of destruction that one sees in the media after a crisis such as this one distracts from the plight of children. Children have very specific needs and their fears are tremendous during such a crisis. When children have never experienced something like this, they have no idea how to cope with it. And when they see their elders, their own parents, being so anxious and so frightful, they are totally knocked out. So apart from food, drinking water, medicines, and shelter, children have very specific needs. For example, in health, their routine immunization may get disrupted. In terms of nutrition, children have very specific needs, and if those items are not available to feed them in a proper nutritious manner, their health can have a long-term negative impact. And
you talked there, sorry to cut across you, but you talked towards the beginning there of children seeing their parents stressed and the impact that has. But what about the children detached from their family? How much are you able to help children actually try to find members of their family who have gone missing?
Well, finding missing children is a priority of all NGOs, and that is something that one needs to really pay attention to. Because in these times, of course, when you go to villages up in the remote areas of the Himalayas in Nepal, you'll find some villages which have been totally knocked out. There are only a heap of rubble left over there. So we don't know whether children are missing or are they buried underneath the rubble. And it's important to find them because there are also issues of trafficking that can emerge, and child abuse is also a common occurrence during such crises when children are forced to live away from their homes and their families with relatives or even with complete strangers in relief camps.
And we're seeing many thousands of people living in those relief camps, living in tents in the open. There is an obvious health peril if that goes on for any more than just a few days.
Definitely. And with the weather being drawn, it's raining for the third evening consecutively in Nepal. Life is very difficult because you can imagine when living in a tent, how do girls and young children and young mothers take care of themselves, to even relieve themselves of breastfeeding children. It's really a traumatic task when to be cramped up with strangers in such situations.
How much aid is actually getting in, and for an organisation like yours, how far afield have you been able to get to outside of the capital?
There's a lot of relief coming in from various governments around the world, and a lot of international NGOs have been able to fly in relief material, but the Kathmandu airport is short-staffed. They don't have the capability to deliver that cargo in a quick time, and to move the cargo out of the airport is again a huge task because transportation is almost dysfunctional right now in Kathmandu. And moving up to the higher mountains is even harder to get there because roads are damaged. But Save the Children has some pre-positioned stocks of baby packs and of tarpaulin sheets, and these have been distributed today. And the government and other NGOs are also doing their bit in providing whatever relief they have on hand.
There's obviously a really urgent need for the coming days and weeks, but so many of these people will need help long term, especially children, dealing with the psychological impact of what they've seen over the last 48, 72 hours.
Yes, and may I also add that with the annual monsoons only about a month away, there's a very little time for agencies and the government to get their act together and to do whatever is needed to make sure that people's lives come back to normalcy soon. Because the monsoons will go on for 3 more months, and then further landslides can have a bigger effect in terms of crippling people's lives and making the disaster even more ominous.
How confident are you of actually getting the supplies you need to help with all of those people? Because the death toll keeps climbing and it will continue to. And I was just reading a few minutes ago the number of people who have been injured. I mean, we're talking about thousands upon thousands of people, let alone the displaced.
With so much money pouring in, getting relief material into Kathmandu is not the big problem. The big problem is distribution and even warehousing. there are no warehousing capacities here in Kathmandu. So if you're getting planefuls of relief material, where are you going to stock it? And if it's already raining now, and if it rains continues for a few more weeks and months to come in the monsoons, where will all this material be kept? Where will it be taken to when the transportation links are severe? So there are many logistical challenges apart from getting trained aid workers and logisticians to manage the flow of relief material. It's going to be a Herculean task to deliver relief to all the people that need it in Nepal.
Well, Devendra Tak, thank you so much for taking time to speak to us and going through some of the urgent questions on the ground that you are facing, and more generally, of course, there are so many questions about all of this.